My friends, it is 2026. Welcome. Welcome to a brand spanking new year. I feel like singing Happy New Year to you, but I won't because that's not how we need to bring in the new year. Is it? Is it? On today's episode of Financially Fierce, fear not, I shan't be singing at you. Instead, I'm going to help you set yourself up. I am going to teach you some poignant, important pieces to remember around goal setting, because around about now, statistically speaking, you are becoming a new, shiny version of yourself. It is a new year, thus a new you. I am going to give you my top tips based off a book that changed my life. I am also going to teach you a concept that I think is really pertinent to setting goals that stick. And I'm going to gift you, if you will, my New Year's gift to you, some big things to think about as you are setting yourself up to have a fiercely successful year ahead. We're going to cover that. That's a lot to cover. I'm going to try to do this as a mini episode. So let's get going and set you up for a year of financial success in 2026.
This is a podcast for everyone that wants to learn how to make fierce and bold choices with their money. We'll talk about how to shape your money mindset, investing for your future, your spending habits, the good and the bad, plus how to achieve your financial goals, and most of all, how to be financially fierce. I am a financial educator and I want to empower you to be more in control of your money and build the financial future that you want. I run the Greenhouse Money Growing Program, and you can find details of that in the podcast show notes. My name is Jessica Brady. It's time to get financially fierce.
Okay, so maybe you already know this about me. Maybe you don't. I am an avid reader. In fact, I would rate the last few years as a poor reader in terms of the volume of books that I have been reading. But that is because I've been working on a very special project. I didn't read many books in 2025 because I wrote one. Oh my God, I think by the time this episode comes out, I will have told the world that I wrote a book. If you listen to my episode around goals for 2025, where I was really cagey and I was like, I did something big that was hard and challenging and nearly broke me and I cried a lot, but I couldn't tell you what it was. This is the secret. Oh my God, I'm accidentally doing a reveal in a way that I had not planned. I will share so much about it, but please, can I just say to you, if you are listening to this, I'm imploring you, especially if you're watching it on YouTube, you'll see I'm like right up into the camera. I wrote a book in 2025 at a time in my life when I probably shouldn't have written a book given everything else that was going on. And I'm really proud of it. Like, it really broke me. And the editors told me, because I'm like, she's not perfect. And they're like, Jess, she's never going to be perfect. She's really good. She's ready to go into the wild. I'm like, are you sure? I don't think she's ready. And I'm pretty sure by the time that this episode comes out, you'll be able to pre-purchase my first and probs definitely only book, which is called Get Growing. And I'm pretty sure on the cover, we've got how to cultivate wealth and build financial stability and freedom into your life. If you are looking to read more in 2026, as I am, I would be so enormously grateful. Oh my God, I would be so grateful if you can not only buy the book, but gift it to anyone and everyone that you think needs to learn how to cultivate money, belief systems that are healthy, and show you the systems and structures and ways to set up your money, or even just sharing and telling people about the book. I'd be so grateful, because it's one thing to write it. It is another thing to have people read it. And obviously, if you read it and you love it, I want you to tell the world via all the ways that you can review a book. If you read it and you're like, obviously you can just keep that to yourself. Anyway, I wrote a book in 2025. And thus, this year, I am going to be talking a lot more about the book. I really hope that this doesn't have to get cut out, because I'm hoping by the time this episode is live, we've told the world. But I'm hoping to also read more. Anyway, that was a ginormous accidental side quest. How is that for a new year, new me start? She's back with her tangents. Her Jess tangents have not left themselves in 2025. No, they are here in 2026. But one of my favorite books is by an author by the name of James Clear. And I think beyond my book that I've just told you about, I think if you are looking for a book that you can read, I don't know, perennially, does that mean annually? I think if you're going to pick one that is all around sort of setting yourself up for success, Atomic Habits would definitely be up there. I used to read it every year and I need to go back to reading it every year. So I'm going to put that on my to-do list for 2026. But what I really, really love and why I wanted to talk about Atomic Habits and some of the concepts from James Clear's book in this episode is because I think at this time of year when everyone's new year, new youing, we are doing it backwards. And to be honest, until I sort of read about this, I was doing it backwards as well. And I sometimes can still accidentally do it backwards. So I'm going to give you some framework that he talks through that I think is enormously helpful as you are setting yourself up for whatever you are looking to achieve in 2026. Now, he talks about this concept of behavior change across sort of different levels or dimensions, if you will. And the idea that sort of we do it all backwards. So what we normally look at is what is the outcome we are striving for? What is the goal that we are setting ourselves? And there's lots of different framework that we can use. A lot of people use the SMART framework. I teach my members the GROW framework, but it's always very outcome based. What is the outcome? What is the goal? January is always goal setting. And then we start thinking about, okay, well, to get that goal, what have I got to do? And like, how have I got to set myself up? And that's where things get a bit wobbly. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in this episode. But actually what Clear talks about is sort of flipping the idea in terms of thinking about who is the identity that we are wanting to be. I know it sounds weird, stick with me and or go and read the book. But basically, rather than focusing on what the outcome is or the goal, let's focus on who you want to be. What does that person do in terms of habits and processes and structure and strategy and all those things? And what, by being that person and doing those things that you set out to do, could that give you? And so we start with this idea of identity, and then we wrap process and procedure and habit and strategy and all the ways that we're going to actually make that practically happen around it. And then the third element is by doing those things, what is the benefit? What is the knock-on effect? What is the ripple effect, if you will? It's achieving the outcome. Now, I think you still need to have a goal that you are working towards. Really, really important. And I talk about that a lot because I think you can still, set yourself up from an identity perspective. You can, create all this idealistic habit change and process change, sure. But I also still think we need to have really clear objectives in terms of what that will give us. But I think we do start too heavily on the goal, and we sort of hope that our goal alone will just like push us and force us to become the person that we need to be to get there, rather than thinking about, okay, the type of person that runs a marathon, what do they actually do to run a marathon? If I'm an elite athlete, and I come to you today not as a marathon runner with no intention of becoming one in 2026, but if I did have, if I wanted to adopt the identity of a marathon runner, and that I can run marathons and I'm wildly capable of doing that, because I'm an elite athlete, great. What would I actually need to do to make that true? Well, they probably get up really early and run a lot. They probably eat really healthy. They probably prioritize bedtime and stop scrolling. They probably go and get massage. They probably do a whole heap of things that I would need to implement to make me that person or to make that idea of who I am true. So I want you to think about what that could mean for who you are wanting to be in 2026. So rather than just focusing on the outcome, I want you to think about the shift in your identity. Yeah. So as an example, you might be like, okay, cool. This year I want to pay off debt. Yeah. I've been thinking about it for a while. I've been like flirting with the idea of doing it. It's the outcome that I want. You can probably quantify that because you probably know how much debt you're in, or at least how much debt you would like to pay off. But maybe the identity that you take is that I am going to be someone who no longer avoids finances and who leans into actively managing my money in accordance with my values. That is the identity that I am adopting. I am now someone who does not run away from money. I actively engage with my money and I spend it in a way that aligns to my values. Then think about, okay, well, what would the process actually look like? Okay, well, I'm going to need to spend time proactively managing my money and not running away from it. I might need an accountability buddy. I might need to join a community where I learn more about sort of how to do that. By the way, the Greenhouse Money Growing Program will be opening, I think, almost when this episode goes out, if not join our waitlist, because we open early Feb. I'm pretty sure we kick off. Actually, This year, 2026, we're kicking off our very first welcome call is on my birthday. On my birthday, the 9th of Feb. So like, you are so welcome and I would love for you to join. But maybe it is that I need to sit and commit time to this. And I want to do that in a really structured way. If that is you, please come and learn more about what I do. I'll put a link in the show notes. Maybe it's you do it with a friend or a neighbor or whoever. Sure, fine. It's that I know what my values are, that I do reviewing of my spending, that I have a cash flow plan. Like, think about, okay, someone who is that identity, what do they do? How do they show up? And by showing up and doing those actions, what does that enable? That enables me to stop wasting money on things that aren't important to me, stop burying my head in the sand and paying, extra fees, etc., because I am actively avoiding my money, redirecting money to my credit card that I would have spent aimlessly elsewhere, looking perhaps for a better deal. All of those things lead to me having my credit card or personal debt or whatever it is paid off by X amount of time. So rather than just focusing on the goal, I guess what I'm trying to say to you is think about who it is that you are becoming. How does that person that you're becoming behave? What is different to how you behave now? And get as detailed and micro as you can, because that is where the transformation happens. One of his most famous and my most, I think, beloved saying that he has is that we do not rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. And it is so painfully true. I am someone who sets goals that light me up, that scare the bejesus out of me, that make me want to run towards them. Sometimes I also need like a little nap because I'm overwhelmed by them, don't be mistaken. But most of the time I'm pretty ferocious in terms of running towards a goal. But it takes so much extra work, I have learned over the years, when I don't set up the infrastructure around me or that self-supporting system to make it easier. And it is exactly the same with your money. If you are just hoping that you can push like hell, you are going to feel like you are carrying a boulder over your head up a mountain. That shit is heavy and hard, and it is likely to fall, or you will fall. And I don't want to say crush you because that feels a bit dramatic, but like definitely injure you or like feel just unattainable pretty quickly. Like, we give up on our goals within the first couple of weeks of a new year. I hate that we have a quitter's day. You are not quitting on your goals this year, are you? Is that what you want? Do you want to give up on your goals before you've given them a really red hot crack in 2026? Or do you want to fight for them? Do you want to do everything that you can to make them happen? Because what would making them happen mean for you? What would it give you this year? What would it give you in years to come? More time? More stability, more security, more peace, more calm, more choice, more options, more ability to help people around you that you love and care about, more adventures, more time to do things that are important to you, not needing to work for the man, for the income. What would doing the thing mean for your life? And if you didn't do the thing because it got hard, because Netflix had all the new releases, because you couldn't be asked, and like, I so get that at times. But what would it mean if you didn't do the thing? What if you never did it? What if you too gave up on Quitter's Day? Would you have less security, less stability, less freedom, less options, less time, less ability to help people you love, less adventures, more working for the man, for the income, forever? Is it worth the fight? I can't answer that, only you can. Is it worth the hard times? Is it worth the little emergency cries in the shower where you sing to yourself, I can do this. I am very capable. I realized I said I wouldn't sing to you. And obviously that was not a sing, so just clarifying. Is it worth pushing through? And if the answer is no, you haven't got a goal that is good enough, respectfully, because your brain isn't engaged with it yet. Your brain wants to know, why the hell is this worth it? And you've got to feed it the answer. So after the break, I am going to come back and tell you about a concept, about a bird that I think is quite pertinent to setting goals for 2026. What on earth is she on about? Well, my friend, you will have to wait until after the break and I will reveal all.
If you're after personal financial advice, don't get it from a podcast. If you would like help based on your own personal situation, head over to moneypodcast.com.au, click Get Help, and we'd be happy to introduce you to one of our trusted professionals. Our panel of vetted financial advisors and mortgage brokers work with people all over Australia so they can connect with you wherever you are. That's moneypodcast.com.au and click Get Help.
Okay, are we ready for my first, possibly most strange idea or concept to throw at you for 2026? Yes, you are. Well, I am so glad that you said yes. Okay, I have helped hundreds, probably thousands of people actually manage their money. And I see the same thing happen every year, Jan, Feb, sometimes even March. And that is that we put so much pressure on ourselves to fully evolve and sort of radically change that we buckle under the pressure. And so I recently learned about it in 2025, and I've been wanting to talk about it, but I thought this is the right time to talk about it. I want to talk to you about this concept, and I don't think this is the scientific term, but like you can agree or disagree, and like don't come at me if you're a biologist and you're like, actually the scientific term is some Latin thing. Sure. But there is a term used, I believe, predominantly for penguins called a catastrophic molt. Let me explain. Okay, this is from the Deep Sea News, whoever they are. There's multiple sources, but I thought this one was the most easiest to understand. It says, during penguin molting, every single baby feather on their body is replaced with a new adult one. This process is often called a catastrophic molt because all of their feathers are replaced at once. And their scruffy look, it's because the old feathers won't fall out until the new ones have completely grown in. But what really got me, beside the awkwardness, is the unique patterns of the feather loss. And you can see all these different photos of like them at different stages in their catastrophic molt, and they just look disheveled. And like, is that not such a metaphor for growth, where you think you're just going to look pristine and everything's going to look perfect because you're changing and evolving, and actually you just look like you need a good old wash and that everything might just be falling apart. But actually under there, new life, new growth is emerging. It's just in the process, it looks a bit diabolical. I don't know, I just found that was quite a good metaphor for how I have felt during times of immense and tremendous growth. But I think the point here is that allegedly other birds, they'll lose like a couple of feathers at a time, but penguins need to stay insulated. They need to make sure that they are waterproof so that they don't die of hypothermia, presumably. And so they do it in one big foul swoop, pun intended. And I think that is what we try to do in January. We try to get rid of every single bloody feather that we've got and grow new, bestest ones all at one time. Like we can just, I don't know, hope and pray that overnight everything will just happen all at once. Because isn't that how we think it's going to work? We make dreams and plans as fireworks are erupting, and that we hope the next day we are that version, like we've just gone to bed and miraculously everything can just sort of evolve instantaneously. God, if only. We cannot build all our new feathers to be fully grown all at one time, instantaneously. That is not, unfortunately, how growth works. Except for penguins who, through that process, I implore you to go and Google catastrophic molt of penguins, and you will just feel less alone as you are feeling disheveled whilst you too are evolving and growing. So I guess why I am saying that is because I want you to not start a new year and put so much bloody pressure on yourself to do everything all at once that you give up. Because that is the catastrophe that I see with goal setting. That you're giving up because it's too much, it's too hard, it's overbearing, and you have put an unrealistic amount of pressure and expectation on yourself at one time. So rather than having us backfire our goals or having it backfire in our face, I want you instead to be gentle and think about what the run-up could look like. So before the break, I talked to you about this identity concept to achieve the outcome that we want, and that process and habit piece in the middle. So setting an identity now, or thinking about who it is that you want to become with your money in a really authentic way. This doesn't need to be, I want to become someone who is a complete departure from me, but using our values, like who is it that we want to identify as? I want to be known as the person that does this for myself. I think it needs to be a really intrinsic ideal, not I want the world to see me as this, because I think that becomes very facade-y and shield-y, and I think we have a lot of that already. It needs to be really led, in my opinion, from who do I want to be more of this year? You probably already have that within you, and if you don't have any of that within you yet, really challenge why you want to become this different version of you. Maybe it's time to change. Maybe you're trying to do it to be completely departed from who you've ever been, and thinking through whether that's the right thing or not is probably worth doing some deep thinking about this year. All the thinking. We're just doing all the thinking. Now is the time to think. While we're like probably languishing on a lounge somewhere, still eating whatever we've been eating for the last few weeks, now is the time to do some of that deep thinking in between our little naps. But as we set those habits to get us to the outcome that we want, why don't we pick how we're going to ramp up rather than trying to do them all at once, which I have been so guilty of trying to do? Why don't we figure out for the next 7 days, here is one habit or one shift I'm going to make. Or maybe it's for the next 30 days. For the month of January, this is what I'm committing to. And then think about stacking or layering on those different habits and outcomes. Don't catastrophically molt all at once. I've watched too many people do it. You can do it. I've seen people do it, but goodness me, they don't fare well. They don't have a great time. They do it and they probably just feel like that wasn't the right way to do it because it was really hard and it took so much energy and effort, and they had a lot of stumbles and probably a lot of emergency panicked phone calls and whines and cries. So you can do it. But if you know that you've tried that in the past and it hasn't worked, then why are we still trying to do the same thing that hasn't worked for us before? If we think about the next 12 months, what does that stacking and layering look like? Because if you can nail one thing and give your brain the confidence that I am doing it, look at me go, look at my progress, that dopamine hit that you're going to get is going to feed and help you get to the next level. Rather than trying to do everything at once and then your brain going, oh my God, I didn't run that bazillion kilometer run today like I promised I would. I didn't get 10.5 hours sleep and drink God knows how many liters of water. I'm failing. That is not the motivational energy that we need this year, my friends. We want to be like, okay, I'm going to walk X amount of steps per day. And when you can prove to yourself that that's achievable and that you've actually done that, then you can go, great, now I'm going to start adding the run on. I don't know why I keep talking about running. I have absolutely no interest in running and I'm not a runner. So like, who am I to share any running ideas with you? But I think it's, one that's pretty common in goal setting terms. What does that mean for your money? So if you know that you've never saved money before and you want to start investing, we've got a long journey and that is okay. You can layer it on. You don't have to do everything all at once. We are taking this idea of catastrophic molt and we are telling everyone in January, don't be over there catastrophically molting all at once. People are going to be like, what on earth are you on about? You can send them this episode and you are so welcome if you have been sent this episode. So this year, in the dumpster fire world that is the world, I really hope 2026 is less of a dumpster fire. I thought 2025 would be less of a dumpster fire. I don't know how you found it. Didn't turn out exactly as I had planned. But 2026, I am bringing all the new vibes for you and I and everyone into. What can we do that are small shifts? Small, tiny, easy shifts that are moving you towards the person that you are becoming on this journey. What is the aligned action and what is the stacking of those actions? What could that look like for you? And how do we help you be consistent over intense? Rather than throwing a lot of intensity, which is exhausting, and that is what I have done for so many years. How do we build practices that are simple and easy and consistent, that feel good and don't feel like you are absolutely exhausted by the end of it? Okay, so some things to ask yourself. Who is it that I want to be in 2026? What kind of person would do the things that I dream of? What kind of person would they be? What is one tiny thing that I can do to show and prove to myself, a vote, if you will, for the person that you are becoming? What does that actually look like that you can do in the next 7 days? Just one tiny thing. It might be I am someone who takes care of my financial future. I am someone who is building more security into my life. I am someone who understands my values and am making sure that my money decisions align to them. Figure out what that looks like. I think financial self-care must fit in the Venn diagram of well-being. So if we think about what well-being looks like for you in 2026, please, please, please make sure that financial self-care is squarely, as a circle, in there. You can't bubble bath your way out of money stress. I know, I too am very terrified and traumatized by that realization. No amount of face masks, yoga classes, naps, Netflix binges, none of that is going to help you feel more financially secure. You're going to have to get up and do hard work. You're going to this year potentially do things that scare the shit out of you when it comes to your money. You're going to do things that you feel really challenged by, things that you might have been told you could never do before. You are going to prove all of those naysayers wrong. And maybe even that little inner critic inside of you wrong as well. Because you are going to, hopefully, by the end of 2026, prove to yourself that you could be that person that you are aspiring to be this year. You can show up for yourself. Even when you don't feel like it, even when life is busy and messy and complicated, that you are worth showing up for. That your goals are worth doing the work for. Because what sits on the other side of that is worth the fight in 2026. I want to know, I really want to know, who is it that you want to become with your money this year? What is that identity that you are adopting? Let me know. I'll put a handle for my Insta in the show notes. Let me know through the Money Facebook community. I'm going to try my darndest to do more in that community. I really wanted to do more in it in 2025, and I would say that is an area of opportunity for me in 2026. Hey, I'm so grateful you're here. We've got a big year lined up for you. I'm super excited about some of the apps and ideas that we have for the podcast. If this episode is going to help people in your life, I would be so enormously grateful if you could share it far and wide. And you can watch me on YouTube if you want to see the facial expressions that come out as I am talking to you. And you are so welcome. You are so welcome. You can watch these episodes now on YouTube. Rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. It helps a lot with the algorithms. And I would love for more people to find us in 2026 to help them get on their journey with money. Also, as I mentioned, the 10-week program that I run, the Greenhouse Money Growing Program, opens. It's going to open, I would say, very soon after this episode goes live. If not, I'll put a link so you can join our waitlist. We kick off in February of 2026 for our very first intake of the year. I only do the Greenhouse Money Growing Program 3 times a year. If you want to have me help you build your money strategy for the year ahead and give you a whole bunch of tools, tips, ideas that I do not cover in this podcast, then please do sign up for the waitlist or join now. I cannot wait. I know some people who have already joined through our Black Friday sale at the end of 2025 are super pumped, and it is the most beautiful community to help you grow and nurture your wealth for the year ahead. That is all from me. Welcome to 2026. This year, we're going to help you become even more financially fierce. You know what to do. Go now. Be that fierce version of you. Bye.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia. We pay our respects to elders past and present. Any advice is general financial advice only, which does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Because of that, you should consider if the advice is appropriate to you and your needs before acting on the information. If you do choose to buy a financial product, read the Product Disclosure Statement, PDS, and Target Market Determination, TMD, and obtain appropriate financial advice tailored to your needs. Jessica Brady is an Authorised Representative of Paradigm Pty Ltd, Authorised Representative Number 1259972, AFSL 297276, ABN 16108 571 875. Corporate Authorised Representative number 1305567.